You know, as we think about restructuring the Alaska Baptist Convention, we're not talking about a major overhaul. We're talking about modifying a structure that has been effective in the past but needs some tweaking. As most organizations think about structure, there's two tendencies. One tendency is to have too much structure, which slows down the smooth flow of work for the organization. If you have too little structure, then communication breaks down and the information does not get disseminated to the parts of the organization. So as we think about restructuring, we're talking about making it more effective and more efficient in the work that we're doing. When you take a look at the structure that we've had in the past with the Alaska Baptist Convention, it almost looks like a very hierarchical organization. We see the National Southern Baptist Convention channeling information through the Alaska Baptist Convention that hopefully gets disseminated to the associations and the local churches in our state. It's very hierarchical and kind of gives the perception that strategy starts at the top and comes down to the local church. Actually, it should be the other way around. We need to flatten the organization and make it appear as if we're all on the same playing field working together. That's done by building a network that will look like this, where the main foundational principle for the network is that strategy is field-driven. That means strategy begins at the local level, at the church. The church knows better their community, the geography, the culture of the region, and can then develop a strategy of how they're going to reach that community with the gospel. And then through the network, they can connect with other partners to help facilitate that work and provide the resources that they may not have for themselves. So that's basically the idea of where we're headed as a network. Obviously, the biggest change that's going to be produced here is the transition of our associations to regions of the state. We will need to divide our state into what I would suggest as 6 major geographical regions, the 2 in the north, 2 in the south, and then 2 in what we would call South Central, where the largest numbers of our churches are currently located. Butch Strickland has agreed to join me here today and just talk briefly about the association and some of their work. And so Butch, if I can ask you a question, what are some of the needs right now that you see in the local associations in Alaska?
I think the things that I've noticed in the area where I'm working anyway, is the idea of participation, have more participation amongst the pastors, amongst the churches. Also, a fellowship that goes beyond just having a meeting together every once in a while.
Right.
And then also accountability amongst pastors and amongst the helping each other in kind of a prayer partner type of relationship that we've talked about many times before. So an accountability in that area. Also, one of the things that I would like to see happen too is assistance, not from the top down, like you were saying, but assistance brother to brother. Whether that be a church helping me do my vacation Bible school in mine or otherwise, just that fellowship that we'd have amongst churches as well as amongst the pastors.
Right. So what ways do you think that this particular this network that we're talking about could assist the churches in the local community?
The way I understand it is that one of the things that it will do is would provide a means by which local pastors who are already in fellowship with other local pastors to have a voice and to have a way of participating in the bigger picture of the strategy, not only of just their church, but in their region and in the state convention as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, as you know, Butch is one of the last of the Mohicans. He's the only DOM that we have currently serving in Alaska. And so one of the things that we'll be looking at as we try to develop the new structure is finding that role that will replace the Director of Missions. I'd like to introduce a proposal for a new leader in these areas, in the regions, called Regional Facilitators. Their main responsibility is not to oversee or to coordinate, but just simply to be a conduit between the regions and the state office to help channel information so that we can know what are the needs at the local level and how can we come alongside and assist and facilitate in that role. Next time, I'd like to talk a little bit more about how some of the funding changes will need to take place to facilitate this new structure.